Hello, friends. So, I'm in one of my favorite haunts, so pun intended, the old city cemetery. And I was just thinking, maybe you should, I don't know, call this a rant, but you know how we talk about toxic positivity? You just have to always be positive about everything. Frankly, this is a really kind of new thing, at least that I've seen. It's all the fad in the spiritual community. And while there is some benefit to maybe some, thinking positively, and it starts to change your reality, that goes too far sometimes when you're not able to deal with the things that are reality. You just push it away. And I think this is something that healers are particularly guilty of, often because they have a very fragile ego, often because they are very ungrounded and they didn't have a good upbringing, and that's partially what draws them to helping others. It's kind of like counselors are very unlikely to get into counseling unless they needed counseling themselves. People that are doulas are very unlikely to get into that unless they needed a doula themselves, or a midwife, or so many different avenues of being natural healers. It's like, if you weren't helped yourself, you're more likely to want to get into that business to help others. So, anywho, I was just thinking about this today because yet another so-called healer had some issues with their root chakra. And I was like, I don't know what's causing this, but it seems classic that when you try to help somebody who perceives themselves as the person who helps others, they're a very difficult person to help. And part of this mentality is seen when they say, well, you can't read me. I didn't give you permission. Well, really? Okay, so let's think about this here. If a person who is just out at Walmart or people watching wherever, if they see something in somebody and they talk to their buddy over here and they're like, boy, that person looks like they've had a rough day. What are they doing? They're reading their energy. That person's really depressed. Well, they might read a little deeper and look at a person who clearly has some stuff going on in their body, and they might say, that person looks like they've had a rough life. And they're probably not inaccurate. We read people through their aura, through just what they put off and how it affects their body. And it's very, very accurate. The psychology that teaches us that people actually judge all the time also says they're highly accurate. You can tell a criminal, you can tell a person with high testosterone, you can tell all sorts of things about a person by what they are physically manifesting, but also just the energy that they put off. So, does anybody ask for this permission though when they go about people watching? Nope. Never seen it yet. And yet there's this, you can't when it comes to me as a healer. And it's always when somebody is correcting them, seeing something that maybe isn't just perfect. So I was told this last time, as I always lovingly am just out there with my thoughts, I was told this last time that karma will get you because you are pushing yourself onto me and reading me without my permission. Yeah, I could say that about me being honest and telling you something that you didn't want to hear, but who else is going to tell you? Nobody's going to correct the healers. Nobody has the guts to do that. Nobody loves them enough to actually be bold enough to say, I see something in you that I'm sorry, I don't want this to be true, but maybe you should consider this just in case it starts to affect your health, or it already has. You know, and if a person doesn't have the openness to receive that, even when they have seen by your love or by your life or by your energy work that you have the right to say that in their life, well then that's just a fragile ego. And then what business does that person have of even being in a healing sort of business? So this is what bothers me when I deal with healers. They are the least likely to have anybody correct them. And the worst part is they also won't even admit that you can read them. They deny every single time and say that you can't because I have a protective bubble around me. As if I'm trying to possess them with some like evil entity. And this is where it ties back to the root chakra. It is a survival mode mechanism where you are so afraid that you have to push everybody else away as, you know, toxic, as inferior, what have you, for whatever reason, because your ego is so fragile. You are so hurt that you really truly believe that everybody's out to get you. Well, this goes back to the root chakra. Again, the evidence is there that when I'm saying, hey, you have a root chakra issue, and then you say, oh, you can't read me, you're just proving it to me more. You're paranoid, but that's also a third eye issue, which most of them also have issues with. But yeah, again, you can't be having a third eye issue as a healer. And so when I see people putting out themselves out there publicly as these great healers, I'm like, but your perception's all off. And then I tell them, it's like, then they're not doing what their conscience even says that they should be doing, because then they close down their crown chakra and are closed-minded. And then things go from there to they're unloving, so they close down their heart chakra. They're not happy about that, so they close down their sacral chakra. And I see this, and I'm just like, listen to me, look at your life. It's going to pot. Your health is going to pot. All because you're not listening to me. And then I just tell them, I'm simply warning you. Time will tell, and you will either thank me or your health will continue to go to pot, and you'll probably kill yourself or have a whole lot of health problems. I keep on seeing it. I've seen it my whole life. I kind of hate it because I really hate being right on these subjects. But, I mean, in the words of my ex-husbands, I'm never wrong. Not in this kind of stuff. So, you can love me or hate me for it. But if you don't listen to me, you're probably going to live to regret it. Because it's just the energy. And energy doesn't lie. People say, oh, well, your energy read is biased. I get that. That's actually quite likely of 99.9% of people. And why I am different, look into being a mental projector. I have so many open centers. I take everything in and I soundboard with everybody before coming to a conclusion on things, which makes me the most teachable and the most likely to be right of all the even guide types of the world. So if I've put an opinion out there, it's only because I've thought about it a lot, I've soundboarded about it a lot, and I'm going to be right a lot. So if your ego is getting in the way and you're telling yourself she's not right, I would seriously challenge you to rethink that. It's not my ego speaking, it's my experience speaking. I just hate the fact that I lose a lot of friends because they find out that I'm right. Why not just be open to correction and have a little humility, and then we can all be in a good place together? Because sometimes I have struggles too, and I just want a friend who's going to be honest and tell me, hey, you're speaking from a place of powerlessness right now. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. I have been struggling in that area, and I feel it right. Yeah. Why can't people just be like that? Ego. A fragile ego. You're embarrassed. You can't be the one that's wrong. You're helping others. You're always the one that helps others. You don't like anybody to smother you and tell you what's wrong with yourself. And you wonder why the religious leaders hated Jesus. I think it's pretty obvious. I've gotten much more hate from healers and religious people than anybody else. But in the end, most of them have to live with themselves, and so they come back and apologize. So I'm glad for that, but it kind of stinks to be the healer of the healers sometimes. Hey, at least I haven't been crucified yet. So there's that. Talk to you all later. Bye.